Our next type of essays for the writing skill task 2 is compare and contrast. Let's check out an example as to how you are expected to compare the scenario. Moving on to the example 1. Many children these days have mobile phone. What are the advantages and disadvantages of it? So that is a highly debated topic these days. So every child carries a mobile phone. What are the advantages or what are the disadvantages? You are expected to compare and contrast and give your suggestions about the same. So beginning with this, how mobile phones have become part of everybody's life. So it is a widespread phenomenon. Mobile phones, so these days everybody uses a mobile phone and it's in the pockets of everybody, and it's a widespread phenomenon, and it is definitely beneficial with some drawbacks. So I have just given an introduction about what I'm going to discuss. So all this will go in the first paragraph. Let's move on to the second paragraph. Why should children avoid using mobile phones? So number one, the first factor is the risk. The risk factor, because children are more vulnerable. They are the most easiest targets, soft targets who can fall victims. They are more vulnerable and they're target of thieves, and they can be easily cheated, they can be overpowered, and sometimes, these days these cell phone snatching cases are also quite common, and kids are more vulnerable to it. Sometimes it also becomes dangerous when it goes overboard. The next is distraction. Students or children get easily distracted because of mobile phones. The one main reason is because of the entertainment that it gives, and then social media, which includes this chatting and general surfing. So more than what is required always becomes a distraction. So sometimes schoolgoers indulge in indecent usage of internet, and which might harm their minds, which might disturb the tender minds. So the risks involved will come in the second paragraph. Scientifically, it is proven that mobile waves also harm the body. So I think we can add some more to the second paragraph. Health issues. Because of the radiation, the waves. The main issue why it would affect kids more than the adults is because of the vulnerability of the children. Yes, of course, adults also get affected, but children are prone to greater disasters because of the height of vulnerability. Flaunting. Sometimes this is again negative behavior. Sometimes we use cell phones just to flaunt. It becomes a mere waste of money. The primary purpose of using a cell phone goes to waste because sometimes we invest sometimes even more than ₹1 lakh in a cell phone. Just for flaunting purpose, okay? Financially, you just would like to flaunt. So kids prefer cell phones for that also. Moving on to the positive points is safety. When you have or when your kid has a cell phone with him or her, that helps us in many ways. Frequent contact when the child is not at home or when you are not at home, right? So the benefit is that when every child has a cell phone, in case of emergencies, yes, benefited. Sometimes they become tech savvy. They start using electronic gadgets from a very younger age. And by the time, they grow up into adults, they become more tech savvy and more technologically updated. So there are good, information also. And sometimes you're so updated, not just technology-wise, but everything has come under a cell phone. The entire world has come, works around, is in our hands. So anything that you would like to know under the universe, yes, you have the cell phone always. So more informative. This comes in your third paragraph. Moving on to the fourth conclusion paragraph. I would mention that, yes, it is definitely advantageous. Definitely a boon, but more disadvantageous. So using a cell phone is definitely advantageous, but more than advantages, we do have disadvantages also. So let's quickly go through the question. Many children these days have mobile phones. What are the advantages and disadvantages of it? So in the first paragraph, I would talk about the mobile phones and how it is a widespread phenomenon and how we are able to, every pocket has a mobile phone in fact. So it provides both benefits and drawbacks. So both need to be mentioned in the first paragraph. And then moving on to the second paragraph, you will have the risk factors, okay, because kids are more vulnerable to being affected, in many ways, right from, snatching of mobile phones or getting used to dirty things, unnecessary things, and distraction, too much of entertainment, social media, chatting, surfing, browsing the internet, and all these things are definitely a distraction for any child. So again, kids are more vulnerable. Health issues, the waves, the radiations that the cell phones carry, they are harmful for both kids and adults, but it works on a higher range when it comes to kids. It is more intense when it comes to kids because again, they are so tender and they are so vulnerable for it. Moving on to the third paragraph, talking about the safety. Yes, it is very important to have cell phone in the hand. These are the advantages because when we are away and we need to know, the well-being of a child, any emergency cases, any problem, any trouble to contact immediately. Yes, cell phones play a major role because technology is so updated these days. And from childhood, when the child starts using cell phone, the child tends to become tech savvy person. So a technologically sound person is the need for the society. And updated, you're so updated, you know what's happening around, what happens in the entire world, everything is in your hand. Whatever you want to know, you immediately get access to it, and then the next moment it's there on your cell phone. So you're so updated these days. Moving on to the last passage. Yes, I would mention that using cell phones is definitely advantageous. It helps in so many different ways. But because it is a boon, in fact, it is a boon because technology, everything is come in your hand. But more than doing good, it does more harm to the children. As I said, the main reason is because of distraction and the vulnerability of the child. So more than advantages, it does more harm to children. So I prefer not giving cell phones to children. Let's quickly go through the passage once again. The children these days have mobile phones. I have put them in 4 passages. And first paragraph is the introduction, general introduction. Second paragraph, I have spoken about the disadvantages. Third paragraph, I've spoken about the advantages. And the fourth paragraph, I have given my opinion about using cell phones.